the 3G network in New Zealand will be shut by the end of this year, and the country continues to upgrade its 4G and 5G technology. It is a worldwide move. Australia turned off their 3G last year, and the trouble is there are repercussions still apparently going on there, to the extent that a Senate committee is investigating why some customers were left worse off, unable to make calls or send text messages in areas where they previously could, and that included emergency calls. Paul Brislen is the Chief Executive of New Zealand Telecommunications Forum, and he joins me now. Paul, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Leah. How are you doing?
I'm great. Look, thank you. Good to talk to you. Can you just quickly tell us what NZ Telecommunications Forum does?
Oh, yes. We're the industry body for the telco sector, and we help bring them all together whenever anything needs to be coordinated between all the different players. So Chorus, Spark, One, New Zealand, 2 Degrees, all of the players come together and we work through whatever it is that needs sorting out. In this case, we're switching off 3G networks, so that'll have implications for everybody. So we help coordinate activity for them all.
All right. Well, for those listening, and I've got a couple of texts I'll share with you, Paul, a little later on, who are, a bit concerned about when it happens, and that's why it's great we're talking to you. Obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, most of us are on 4G already, and I gather as technology evolves, the reason we're doing this is the older networks like 3G just become inefficient and costly to maintain. Is that the reason?
That's in a nutshell. Yeah, exactly right. The old 3G networks were introduced in about 2008, 2009. They're very, very old by technology standards. I know it doesn't seem that long ago, does it?
Doesn't, eh?
But no. But you think back to your very first smartphone, that's the era we're talking about. So technology's moved on. You can't get the parts for 3G networks. As you said in the intro, they're shutting them down all around the world. It's time to put the effort into upgrading 4G networks and the 5G networks and give customers what they're after, which are faster speeds and more efficient networks. So that's what we're doing.
Right. And what would be, because 3G, as you said, has been around quite some time, the 4 and the 5, how long would we get out of them? I gather there's a 6 and a 7 and an 8 and a,
there's bound to be right there. There'll always be another one coming along, I think. But 4G was a real turning point, and it's all about internet access. So without boring you all about the technical details, 4G is kind of the basis going forward for the rest of the foreseeable future. So I don't think we'll be turning off 4G or 5G anytime soon.
Right.
Never say never. We'll build on top of 4G, but it was a real step change. 3G was kind of the end of the voice-centric world. So that's largely why it's kind of reaching the end of life now. The way we handle voice calls has changed hugely since then. So it's much more efficient these days. Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit more about what has happened or happening in Australia? I understand they have done it, but not without some issues.
Yeah, well, they all 3 of their networks over there announced they were shutting down quite early on in the piece, but then they didn't really do a good job about communicating what that meant with customers. And a couple of politicians got involved and said, "Well, hang on, this is the first we're hearing about it. What do you mean you're shutting down in a month or so? That's just not on." And what are you doing about infill and replacement networks and upgrading to 4G and all the rest? All 3 of the network operators then changed their date. They moved the switch off date to later in the year, gave everybody time to understand what was going on and to work out some of the really niggly little problems with phones that may have been bought overseas and brought in. They may work with the new networks, they might not. There's quite a lot of checking behind the scenes that needs to go on. So what we've done is we've learned from that. I was actually on a call yesterday with some of the guys from Australia, going through the key issues that they have learned from and the mistakes that they made. And they said, watch out for what they call grey import phones. We've got a lot of those. So we're going to do a lot of work to make sure that when you check your phone, we can support you and say, okay, this one will work, that one definitely won't work. Yours is a phone in the gap in the middle. We'll need to change some settings, and we'll go from there.
I see. I'm getting a few texts, Paul, from
Mm.
listeners saying, and I thought this would happen. It'd be tougher on people that live rurally because, and this text says we are rural with poor phone reception most of the time. We are working with 1 or 2 bars on 3G. So what happens when 3G goes?
Well, you're thinking about it as removing 3G, but what we're going to do is replace it with 4G. So your
But
1 or
for
2
rural
bars of
people as
3G
well?
disappears. Everybody, yeah. Every tower that's got 3G equipment on it today will have 4G equipment put on it, or if you're in the cities, 5G equipment. So yeah, it's an upgrade. Don't think of it as having a network taken off you. It's an upgrade to the 4G network. So in order to use that, you'll need to have a phone that will operate on 4G, and most of us have got those. So that's really the learning here: is find out what your phone is, work
Yes.
out if you need to upgrade that, or if you just need to change some of the settings to make it work on 4G, and then Bob's your uncle. Away you go.
Because see, that's the question. Because will this? I'm sorry if it is a bit of a silly question, Paul, but
No,
how
you're
do people know if their phone is it's 3G? And for those that
if you're
don't know,
affected.
does it show you on your phone? Well, it just doesn't work. Do we upgrade it? We throw it
No,
away?
no. We hope to make sure that we can help you out before that. In the next couple of weeks, we will be launching a short code number, a 4-digit number that you can text. I think you text 3G to it, and it will check your phone for you and report back and say, your phone's fine, don't worry about it. Your phone definitely won't work, so you need to do something, or your phone is in the grey area. Please come on into a store and we'll figure out what we can do. And for a lot of people, it will be as simple as changing some settings in your phone. For others, you might need a new software upgrade to make the phone talk to the 4G network properly. But for some people who do have particularly 3G reliant phones, you'll need to have a think about upgrading or getting something shiny and new. You don't need to get a top of the line beastie, unless you really want a $2,500 iPhone, as my kids do. No, you'll be okay with your, look, there's a whole range of phones available out there, right? At my supermarket, you can get a 4G phone for about $80, I think it is. So it's entirely up to you. Whatever's going to work for you in your situation. And the telcos, I haven't talked to them about it yet, but we have switched off networks before. They always come up with special offers and packages and deals and things of that sort to encourage customers to move. Because it's, for them, it's that's what it's all about, keeping people connected to the network. That's to be blunt, that's how they make their money.
Well, it is. Yeah. That is. There's another question, re 3G for you, Paul. We live again rurally and only have wireless broadband available. We most often only get 3G on our phones and modems. So what happens there? Is it exactly what you've just been saying?
Same again, exactly the same. Yeah, you'll get a 4G signal, and you should get faster speeds. You should find that if you've got a 4G phone, 4G is much more efficient in terms of power use, so your phone battery should last a bit longer as well. You'll get faster connection speeds, all that kind of jazz. Yeah.
Oh, this is good. That's good. Paul, Paul, I tell you what, it's great you're here because now people are saying, oh, this is great, Leah. I thought they were scrapping the 3G towers, but they're actually upgrading. That will help us a lot.
It's an upgrade,
as our area
that's
always
the
drops
key
calls.
message,
right?
When
we switch from 3 to 4 rural Canterbury.
Look, there will be pockets, there will be corners of the street where you used to get 3G, and now maybe the 4G's there, maybe it's not. They'll work on that once it's live, because those kind of micro adjustments are really difficult to do. But the expectation is there's going to be more 4G coverage than there was 3G. So, I have high hopes that everybody will get to early next year and go, oh, this is actually quite good. I'm quite pleased to switch off 3G. Now I can have a think about one thing that everybody should do, though. If you do have that drawer full of phones, or you've got a 3G device you want to get rid of, please don't throw them in the bin. Batteries tend to cause terrible rubbish bin fires. We've got a recycling scheme called Remobile. You can bring them into a store and drop them in a tube, and we'll make sure that they're taken care of. And those that can be reused are, and those that are recycled are taken care of carefully, so that you don't end up with heavy earth, rare earth elements in the rubbish tips and
Geez, that's good to know,
bin
Paul. Because
fires and things. Yeah.
I was going to ask about is there a potential environmental impact as people potentially throw out their old devices?
Well, that's it. I mean, these things are full of all kinds of different chemicals and rare earth elements that, I mean, there's gold in them as well, so you don't want to throw that out. But some of the nasty stuff you really want to be careful with. So, yeah, no, please recycle them. There are about 450 outlets up and down the country that'll take your old phones and bring in the chargers and the cables and everything, your earbuds, the whole lot. We'll take it all. And, we recycle it, make sure it's handled properly so that it doesn't leach into the environment.